friend?
Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy.
He is a noble man.
He has 10,000 a year.
He is a good figure of a man.
One cannot wonder but so very fine of a young man with family fortune, everything in his favor, and should think highly of himself. If I may so express it, he has a right to be proud.
I could forgive him if he had not mortified mine.
Pride is a very common feeling, I believe. By all that I have ever read, I am convinced that it is common indeed. The human nature is practically prone to it, and that there are very few of us who cannot cherish a feelings of self-complacency on the score of some quality or other, real or imaginary.
You do not lose much by not suiting his fancy, Eliza, but he is the most disagreeable mean, not at all worth pleasing.
I believe I can safely promise you never to dance with him.
Don't you dance today? There are so many beautiful girls.
We were dancing with the only beauty on this ballroom.
But his sister is so sweet too.
Yes, but she's not pretty enough to disturb my rest of soul.
Mr. Bingley is just what a young man ought to be. Sensible, good-humored, lively, and I never saw so happy manners. So much ease with such a perfectly good breeding.
He is also handsome, which a young man ought likewise to be if he possibly can.
And I was very flattered by his asking me to dance a second time. I didn't expect such a compliment.
But that is one great difference between us. Compliments always take you by surprise and me never. He could not help seeing that you were about 5 times prettier than every other woman in the room. I give you leave to like him. You liked many a stupider person.
Dear Lizzie,
I have never heard that you speak ill about a human being in your life.
I wouldn't wish to be hasty in censoring, but I always would speak what I think.
I know you do, and it is what makes a wonder. Do you like this man's sisters too? Their manners are not equal to his.
Certainly not at first, but they are very pleasant women when you converse with them. Mrs. Bingley is to live with her brother and keep his house. I am very much mistaken if I wouldn't find a very charming neighbor in her.
I'm not so convinced, but as you say, Mr. Bingley is just what a young man ought to be.
A letter addressed to Miss Bennet from Netherfield.
Thank you.
Well, Jane, who is it from? What does it say? What's it about? Make haste and haste. Make haste, my love.
It's from Miss Caroline Bingley. My dear friend, if you are not so compassionate as to dine today with Louisa and me, we will be in danger of hating each other for the rest of our lives. For a whole day's tete-a-tete between two women can never end without a quarrel. Came as soon as you can on receipt of this. My brother and the gentlemen are to dine with the officers. Yours ever, Caroline Bingley. May I have the carriage?
No, my dear, you'd better go on horseback.
Horseback?
Yes, but it seems likely to rain, and you must stay all night.
Oh, what is it?
It's a letter from Jane.
Really? My dearest Lizzie, I find myself very unwell this morning, which I suppose is to be imputed to my getting wet through yesterday. My kind friends will not hear of my returning till I am better. They insist also on my seeing. Mr. Jones, therefore, do not be alarmed if you should hear of his having been to me, and accepting a sore throat and a headache. There is not much the matter with me. Yours, Jane.
Oh, my dear, if your daughter does die, it will be comfort to know it was all in pursuit of Mr. Bingley.
Oh, I'm not afraid of her dying. People do not die of little thrilling clothes. I would go and see her if I could have the courage.
I would be very fit to see Jane, which is all I want. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please pardon my appearance. May I inquire after my sister?
Miss Bennet slept ill and thus up. Is very feverish and not well enough to leave her room. And I think you will want to be taken to your sister immediately. Alfred, please, show Miss Bennet her sister's room.
Thank you.
It's certain that Jane will be married to Mr. Bingley's son. He is such a charming young man. He is too rich. He lives 3 miles from Lockwood. It's a pity. But, my daughters, you must desire this connection as we do.
Carefully, Mrs. Bennet. Our conversation is not being overheard.
You will let your sister and after lead, but he will only like her if she doesn't help him on.
But she does help him on as much as her nature will allow.
Remember, Eliza, but he does not Jane's disposition as you do.
But if a woman is partial to a man, he doesn't endeavor to conceal it. He must find it out.
Perhaps he must if he's in love with her, but you know they meet very often at the parties, but it's never for many hours together. I think they shouldn't always see each other and lunch in these parties.
Your plan is good, but if I were determined to get a rich husband, or any husband, I say I should adopt it. It's not Jane's feelings.
I wish Jane success with all my heart, but if she were married to him tomorrow, I should think she had a chance of happiness as if she were to be studying his character for a year.
You make me laugh, Charlotte, and you never act in this way yourself.
Miss Elizabeth, may I have the next dance?
You may. It's your turn to say something, Mr. Darcy. I talked about the dance, and you can remark the size of the room or the number of flowers.
I'm perfectly happy to agree. Please advise me what you want to hear.
Very well, that reply will do for the present. Perhaps, by and by, I may observe that public balls are much pleasanter than private ones. But now we must be silent.
What think you of books?
Books? Oh, I'm sure we never have the same or with the same feelings. You are very cautious. I suppose to its being created.
I am.
And you never allow yourself to be blinded by prejudice?
I hope not.
It's incumbent on those who never change their opinion to be secure of judging properly first.
May I ask to what this question stands?
It's merely for the illustration of your character. I try to make it out.
And what is your success?
I don't get on at all. I hear many accounts of you as to puzzle me exceedingly.
I can really believe that records may vary greatly with respect to me, and I can wish, Miss Bennet, that you were not to sketch my character at the present moment, as there is reason to fear that the performance will reflect wrong gravity on you.
But if I don't take your likeness now, I may never have another opportunity.
I would by means suspend any pleasure of yours.
The whole party had left Netherfield by this time and are on their way to town, and without any intention of coming back again. You should hear what Caroline Bingley writes in her letter. I do not prevent to regret anything I shall live in Hertfordshire, except your society, my dearest friend. But we will hope at some future period to enjoy many returns of that delightful intercourse we have known. And in the meanwhile, my last pain of separated by a very frequent and most unreserved correspondence. I depend on you for that.
It's unlikely that you will not be able to serve as a perilous in the country, but may we not know what period of future happiness to which Miss Bingley will forward to, or will arrive before she is aware, and what were delightful intercourse you have known as friends will be renewed as with more with satisfaction as sisters.
Caroline Bingley decidedly says that nobody will return to town this winter. I sincerely hope your Christmas in Hertfordshire may abound in the gaieties which that season generally brings, and your ball will be so numerous as to prevent your feeling the loss of the three of whom we shall deprive you. It's evidently by this that he comes back this winter no more.
It's only evidence that Miss Bingley doesn't mean that he should.
Why will you think so? It must be his own doing. He is his own master, but you don't know all. I'll read you the passage which particularly hurts me. Mr. Darcy is impatient to see his sister, and to confess the truth, they are scarcely less eager to meet her again. I really don't think Georgina Darcy has her equal for beauty, elegance, and accomplishment. And the affection she inspires in Louisa and myself is heightened into something still more interesting, from the hope we dare entertain of her being hereafter our sister. Is it not clear enough? Is it not expressly declared that Caroline neither expects nor wishes me to be her sister? That she perfectly convinced of her brother's indifference, and that if she suspects the nature of my feelings, she means to put me on my guard. Can be there any another opinion on the subject?
Yes, there can. For mine is totally different. Will you hear it?
Most willingly.
You shall have it in a few words. Miss Bingley sees that her brother is in love with you, but he wants him to marry Miss Darcy.
No one who has ever seen you together can doubt his affection.
If Miss Bingley could see even half of love from Miss Darcy for herself, he would order wedding clothes. But the case is this: we are not rich enough for her. My dearest Jane, you cannot seriously imagine that because Miss Bingley tells that her brother greatly admires Miss Darcy, but he is in the smallest degree less sensible of your merit than he took leave of you on Tuesday, or that it will be in her power to persuade him. Instead of being in love with you, he is very much in love with her friend.
Caroline is incapable of depriving anyone, and all I can hope in this case is that she is depriving herself.
Go to our aunt and uncles in London, let it be known, and I'm sure he will come to you.
Oh, Jane, Mrs. Gardiner has invited you to town in the winter.
I accepted Aunt's invitation with pleasure. I might occasionally spend the morning with Caroline without danger of seeing her brother.
Oh, my maid celebrated that she accepted her, and she will accompany her aunt and uncle in a tour of pleasure which they propose on taking in the summer.
Tell Mother I accept.
Miss Elizabeth, you must allow me to tell you how endlessly I admire and love you. In spite of all my endeavors, I have found it impossible to conquer my feelings for you. In declaring my feelings, I am going against wishes of my friends, my family, and my own better judgment. But I am so much in love as to wish to marry you in spite of all my objections. Please, confess to me now.
You choose to tell me that you like me against your will, against your reason, and even against your character. Do you really think that I can accept the man who has been the means of ruining my sister's happiness? Do you deny that you were the principal means of their dividing from each other?
I have no wish of denying that I did everything in my power to separate my friend from your sister, and that I rejoice in my success. Towards him I have been kinder than towards myself.
You are mistaken, Mr. Darcy, if you suppose that the mode of your declaration can affect me in any other way. You had made the offer of your hand in any possible way that could tempt me to accept it. You were the last man in the world whom I can be prevailed on to marry.
You've said quite enough, madam. I comprehend your feelings perfectly, and now have only to be ashamed that my own have been. I forgive that I have taken so much of your time. Please accept my best wishes for your health and happiness.
Oh, Lizzie, why is not everybody as happy? He's come to my father already. Oh, Lizzie, to know that I have to relate will give such a pleasure to all my dear family. How will I bear such a happiness?
Oh, my dear, how happy Mom to get ready to go to town. I'm such in a fuss that I cannot write, I'm sure. I will together you will write. First we will need cambric, calic, lace and muslin. I will settle everything with your father later. I don't think that he refused to purchase your wedding clothes the way he did to poor Lydia's.
He was totally ignorant of my being in town this summer. I hadn't believed it possible.
I suspected as much, but how did he account for it?
It must be his sister's doing. They were certainly not friends to his question with me, that which I cannot wonder at. But when they see, as I trust they will, how much their brother is happy with me, they will learn to be contented and we will be on a good terms again. Third, we can never be that we were once to each other.
That's the most unforgiving speech that I ever had. Good girl.
Jane, I have had a short conference with your father. He gives his pleasure. And your mother has asked me to stay for dinner. I have promised to do so. Jane, I am the happiest man. You're perfect. You're perfect, Jane.
I have great pleasure in thinking you will be so happily settled. I have no doubt of you doing very well together. You are, each of you, so compliant that nothing will ever be resolved on.
Oh, excuse the income, my dear Mr. Bennet. What are you talking of? Why he has 5 or 4,000 a year and more likely? I'm sure that he couldn't be so beautiful for nothing.
Mr. Darcy, I am a very selfish creature. I can no longer help thanking you for your kindness to my poor sister. Were it known to the rest of my family, I should not have my own gratitude to express.
I'm sorry that you have been informed. I didn't think that Mr. Gardiner was so little to be trusted.
Don't blame it on my aunt. Lydia firstly betrayed me that you have been concerned in the matter. Let me thank you again and again, in the name of all my family.
If you will thank me, let it be for yourself alone. Your family owes me nothing. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me it at once. My wishes are unchanged, but only one word from you, and I will silence on this subject forever.
Mr. Darcy, my sentiments have undergone some change since the period which you allude, that I receive your present with pleasure surely.
Then you will?
I will.
But what did you say about me? That I did not deserve?
We will not quarrel this evening. I hope since then we have both improved in civility.
I have your consent to go and speak with your father.
You do. I will take you to him now.
Lizzie, what are you doing? Are you out of your sense to be accepting this man? Have not you always hated him? He is rich, to be sure. You may have more fine clothes and carriages than Jane, but will they make you happier?
Have you any other objection than my indifference?
Not at all. We all know him, this unpleasant sort of man. But if you really like him, it should be nothing.
I do. I like him. I love him. He is perfect. You don't know what he really is.
Well, my dear, I have no more to say. If this be the case, he deserved you. I could not have any parted with you, my Lizzie, to anyone less closely.